Maxwell Reid's world shattered the moment he recognized the homeless woman teaching his daughter algebra on a park bench. It was Eliza Carter, his former high school sweetheart and brilliant mathematics professor, now living on the streets, her dark brown skin weathered by exposure, wearing tattered clothes that hung from her once elegant frame. His 8-year-old daughter Lily sat beside her, laughing as she solved equations that children twice her age struggled with. How had the woman he'd once promised to marry ended up homeless? And why was his daughter, who'd been failing math for months, suddenly solving complex problems with joy? "Daddy!" Lily called out, waving excitedly. "Miss Eliza says I'm a math genius. I just needed someone to explain it differently." The homeless woman looked up, her eyes widening in recognition before quickly averting her gaze. 20 years had passed since Maxwell had broken their engagement to pursue his business empire. 20 years since he'd chosen ambition over love. Now worth billions, he stood frozen, watching the woman he'd abandoned teaching the daughter he barely knew due to his endless work schedule. In that moment, Maxwell realized he'd gained a fortune but lost everything that mattered. Eliza gathered her few belongings, preparing to disappear back into the streets. "Wait," Maxwell called, his voice cracking with emotion. But she was already walking away, her shoulders squared with a dignity that his expensive suit couldn't match. Lily looked between them, confusion clouding her features. "Daddy, why is Miss Eliza leaving? And why do you look like you've seen a ghost?" Maxwell couldn't answer. How could he explain to his daughter that he was staring at the greatest mistake of his life, a brilliant woman reduced to homelessness while he lived in excess? For weeks, Maxwell searched the city for Eliza, hiring private investigators and visiting homeless shelters. His company suffered as he neglected meetings, but for the first time in decades, business wasn't his priority. Lily kept asking about her math teacher, describing how Miss Eliza had taught her to see numbers as a beautiful language rather than intimidating symbols. Each night, Maxwell returned home empty-handed, the weight of his past choices crushing him. His ex-wife had taken half his fortune in their divorce, citing his emotional unavailability as the reason. Now he understood what she meant. He'd been present in body but absent in spirit for years. Just as Maxwell was losing hope, his driver spotted Eliza entering a community center in the city's poorest district. Without thinking, Maxwell abandoned an important investor meeting and raced across town. Through the center's windows, he saw her. Not begging or seeking help, but teaching a room full of homeless children. Despite having nothing, she was giving everything. The realization struck him like physical pain. While he'd been accumulating wealth, Eliza had been accumulating purpose. Maxwell entered quietly, taking a seat at the back of the room. For an hour, he watched Eliza transform mathematics into magic for children society had forgotten. Her methods were innovative, her patience infinite. When the class ended and the children dispersed, he approached her. "You always were the better teacher," he said softly. Eliza turned, her expression guarded. "What do you want, Maxwell? To ease your conscience?" "I want to know what happened to you," he replied, his voice breaking. "How did someone as brilliant as you end up?" He couldn't finish the sentence. Eliza's laugh was bitter. "End up homeless? Life happened, Maxwell. I was diagnosed with cancer 3 years ago. No health insurance. Medical bills took everything. Then the university cut my position during budget reductions." She met his gaze directly. Not everyone has a safety net when they fall. The revelation hit Maxwell like a physical blow. While he'd been building skyscrapers, the woman he'd once loved had been fighting for her life alone. "Let me help you," he whispered, reaching for her hand. Eliza pulled away. "I don't want your charity." "Then how about a job?" Maxwell countered. "My daughter's school needs a mathematics department head. The position comes with housing on campus." He paused. "Lily needs you. And I need to make amends, even if it's 20 years too late." For the first time, uncertainty flickered across Eliza's face. "Why would you do this?" "Because seeing you teach my daughter showed me everything I've been doing wrong," Maxwell admitted. "I've built an empire but forgotten how to build connections. Please, Eliza. Not for me, but for the children who need what only you can give them." After a long silence, Eliza nodded once. "For the children," she agreed. "Not for you." 6 months later, Eliza's innovative teaching methods had transformed the school's mathematics program. Students previously labeled difficult or slow were thriving under her guidance. Maxwell funded a scholarship program in her name for homeless children showing academic promise. He attended every school function, slowly rebuilding his relationship with Lily, who blossomed under Eliza's mentorship. One evening, Maxwell found Eliza working late in her classroom. "The board wants to implement your teaching method district-wide," he told her. "They're offering a substantial budget." Eliza looked up from her papers, a cautious smile forming. "That would help hundreds of children." "Thousands," Maxwell corrected. "I've matched their funding." He hesitated. "Eliza, there's something else. I've been seeing a therapist. Learning to be present. Learning to value people over profit. I've noticed," she said quietly. "Lily talks about you differently now." Maxwell took a deep breath. "I know I have no right to ask this, but would you have dinner with me? Not as your employer or Lily's father. Just as a man trying to be better than he was." Eliza studied him for a long moment. "I'm not the same girl you knew, Maxwell. Cancer and homelessness change a person. And I'm not the same man who was too blind to see what mattered," he replied. "I'm asking for a conversation, not forgiveness." What happened next shocked everyone who knew Maxwell Reid. The billionaire who once cancelled meetings for market fluctuations sold his controlling interest in his company. With Eliza's guidance, he established a foundation providing housing and education for homeless families. Their dinner conversation extended into months of careful friendship, rebuilding trust one honest exchange at a time. A year later, at the foundation's first graduation ceremony, 5 formerly homeless students received full college scholarships. Maxwell stood at the podium, Lily and Eliza beside him. "Sometimes life gives us second chances we don't deserve," he told the audience. "The true measure of success isn't what you accumulate, but what you give back." Today, we're not just celebrating these graduates, we're celebrating the teacher who never stopped believing education could change lives, even when she had nothing. As applause filled the auditorium, Maxwell turned to Eliza. "You saved me," he whispered, taking her hand. "Not just by teaching my daughter, but by showing me what real wealth looks like." Eliza's fingers tightened around his. "We saved each other," she corrected. "And now we're saving others." Their journey from estranged former lovers to partners in purpose inspired thousands. The Foundation's YouTube channel, where they shared stories of transformation and educational resources, gained millions of followers. Each video ended with the same message: if this story touched your heart, subscribe to join our community of changemakers. Together, we can rewrite the ending for those society has forgotten. In the end, Maxwell's greatest achievement wasn't the fortune he'd built, but the love he'd reclaimed and the lives he'd changed, all because he stopped to notice a homeless woman teaching his daughter mathematics on a park bench.